already said, has been full of tech all day, tech in the morning, in the afternoon. The tech festival, Malawi, started off in the morning with registered schools that came around mHub, and they were able to interact with different professionals, and they went on to do some drone beginner training, robotics, career talk, 3D printing. In the afternoon, we had people also who decided to register, individuals that registered on their own, and they did come around here as well. And they also had a bit of what happened in the morning and some artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and blockchain talks as well right here. So it's been a very busy day for mHub and everyone involved, but I know that the turnout, especially this afternoon, was very special because they had over about 300 people coming into this space just to participate. So I think a round of applause for that, right? It means we're moving in the right direction. I personally wasn't expecting that big of a number, but I think that says so much about where we're going in terms of technology and people taking interest as persons in terms of how they can get involved and what they would like to do. So that is a good indicator in itself. Tonight, of course, we're here for the panel discussion, just to wrap things up with these guys here, and of course, someone else joining us online, and I will be introducing them in a bit. But for now, I'd like for us to have some welcoming remarks coming in from mHub's CEO, who is Blessings Chavula, just to speak to us real quick, and we'll continue with our program.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to mHub. Firstly, let me acknowledge the presence of our panelists and appreciate everyone that has been part of this tech festival from morning up until now. A special mention to the organizing team and the World Bank, the Public-Private Partnership Commission, the Malawi government, and the Sigo Family Foundation for their support. The tech festival was conceptualized as a platform through which different people, in particular targeting the youth, would have a platform where they would have access to knowledge and skills across various technologies. And also through the same platform, they would be able to discuss on current and upcoming emerging global technology trends. And I think we've had quite a good day. The response was huge. We've engaged over 600 individuals. And I believe that as a first of its kind, it surely won't be the last. And as Ruth mentioned, the youth, as well as several other individuals that participated in this festival, had access to sessions ranging from robotics, artificial intelligence, drone training, as well as 3D printing. And what better way to wrap it up than to have this panel discussion with individuals that are well versed with technology from a global perspective, as well as in context for Malawi. So you're most welcome to mHub, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to hear representative from PPPC, who is Victor Futani, who's going to just also speak to us for just a bit.
Sorry, yeah, I think Victor should have been with us by now, but he had some inconvenience, so he's running late. In case he comes through as we are in session, maybe he might be given an opportunity at the end. Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Thank you very much. On that note, we are now going to engage brains and see what they're thinking, and also what the emerging trends are right now, and also the future of Malawi. Where are we? Where do we stand? Because technology is changing every single day. And like I said, I was very happy to see that individuals came in, the students came in as well, which means there's a lot of interest around what's happening. And all of you here as well, and these minds that are leaders in technology here in the country, are going to give us a bit of an idea of where we are, where we stand, what we need to do to prepare ourselves and not be left behind as things are quickly changing. Technology is there to make things easy for us. The world is so big, but right now, thanks to technology, it's so small. We've all been connected. Medicine and everything's going so fast. I mean, looking at COVID-19, the vaccines, everything happened quick to get the vaccine because, hello, technology is developing and it's quickly changing. So we're going to engage the minds sitting here in front of me. And in front of you, I forgot to tell you my name. My name is Ruth Laisi. I'm your host tonight. I'll be taking the panel discussion here. So first off, sitting right here is Bram Fudzulani, who is the ICT president and co-founder of Angle Dimensions. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And also Eugene Masea, who is CEO for Next Gen Labs. Next Gen Labs is actually a coding and robotics lab based right here in Lilongwe. That's where all the cool kids want to be at. I know my daughter wants to come around there. Everyone wants to go there. It seems like they're doing great work in and within the country. It's awesome. And also sitting in for Alan Banda is Vincent Kumwenda, who is here as well to share his thoughts on what's happening around technology itself. And online, joining us is Sarah Kudze, who is associate lecturer at MUBAS, and she's in the Computing and Information Technology Department. Hey, we hope that you can hear us and that you're ready to go. Awesome. So now we begin. We're going to jump into it with our questions. As I've already mentioned, we're looking at emerging technology trends and where Malawi stands. Technology world, where's Malawi in the midst of all that? So Sarah, the first question is yours. What is the role of technology in today's world and in the future?
All right, thanks, Rose, for that. Hi, everyone. I always try to imagine a world without technology, like how would life be like without technology? And I even think of how COVID affected us in the past 2 years. And imagine if we had no technology, how would life been like? I think we'd have missed the school, the meetings, would have closed the offices and everything. I think everyone would have been home and sleeping without doing anything for 2 years. But COVID-19 also made us appreciate the power of technology. So that can tell us that technology has a bigger role to play in today's world and even the future. It keeps shaping the future for us. So as you have mentioned, Ruth, that now we're using technology to come up with different products. Technology is helping us to be productive. It is providing us with tools that we can use in our workplaces, in whatever sector that you are. Now technology is being applied. Maybe in the past 20 years, we would say that, no, we don't need technology in this field, but now we can appreciate in the business sector. You talk about agriculture. Now we need the smart agriculture. We need to use the Internet of Things, yeah, to measure the temperatures and pH in the soil and everything. So technology is helping us to be very productive, I should say, very productive in our work. And it also that it has created a self-environment in terms of financial technology. That is a fintech. Now you're able to walk around with 2 million on a debit card without any worries. You're not even scared that someone is going to steal that money from you. In the past years, maybe you had to carry all that 2 million. Maybe now with the 5,000 kwacha notes, it's a bit little, but still you can be scared. Like I have 2 million on me. If someone sees this cash, that is really something threatening. But now you have all that money on the debit card. So we can really appreciate that technology is improving the way we're doing things. And also that technology has created equal opportunities, right? We have talked about the use of drones. I'm happy that mHub had to teach young people on drone technology. That is really recommendable because that's where we're heading to. Drones are being used in the health sector now. We are able to reach out to marginalized. I hear that in 2017, I think UNICEF, with the government of Malawi, they had to pirate up this project to send medical products to different hospitals in Kasongo. So we're able to reach out to marginalized, which is a very good thing. We can't worry about the bad roads. Now we can just use technology and then you reach out to people, you give them whatever they're looking for, and you're providing the medical help at a fingertip, just like that. So I can say that technology has really advanced in almost all sectors. Yeah, in Malawi, we're not yet there yet. But at least we can appreciate the e-commerce in the banks. Now we can see the mobile banking. We are transacting online. We're able to send money to our friends who are abroad. That has been enabled through the use of technology. So overall, technology has really advanced our lives and has helped us to be very productive in our work. Thank you.
Awesome. That's so good. I think talking on the issue of equal opportunities, it's good to note that we could be in the middle of nowhere here in Malawi and still have the same access to education that someone in a first world country has, thanks to technology. So I'm going to go to the same school as someone else without having to physically be there, have the same degree, probably pay a little less because I'm not there, but equal opportunity for sure at this moment when it comes to access to information around the world. So definitely technology is playing such a huge role in how we're doing life at the moment. Bram, what are some of the current technology trends in the world so far? What's new? What's hot? What's happening?
I think we live at a time where we're seeing, the level of adopting to new technologies, I think, is a very fast pace. The very moment I could be talking about some of the examples of the emerging technologies, there could be a technology that is being released as we're having this conversation. But we have seen notably in the artificial intelligence, cryptocurrencies, the virtual reality, the technology that came about, and I think we quickly absorbed because of the pandemic that we still experiencing. And then that also gave a platform for us to test and pilot those kind of technologies, whether indeed the world will be ready for them or not. At the world level, and when you look at in the context of Malawi, we're not that far from our colleagues. Yes, we may not have the state-of-the-art equipment, but the level of understanding, Sarah, I think, touched on that. Internet is the best equalizer ever. So we may not have, as I said, the best labs in the country for us to experiment and research on certain technologies, but the fact that we have access to these journals that are coming out and we're able to relate to different industries. For the first time, we have seen, it's not an emerging technology, but we've seen the Ministry of Agriculture cutting down on revenue issues to do with fraud when they're doing the AIP. So I think they saved about 10 billion or somewhere there, because they use the technology of the digital identity that we have to be able to allow Malawians access and redeem coupons using what we would call maybe the emerging technologies in the country. So there are a number of emerging technologies. How are they affecting our community and societies? That is also exciting to see how government and private sectors are responding to that.
That's so good. 10 billion whole kwacha.
Close to that. Yes.
Yeah, that's really good. Vin, this is yours. How quickly is technology advancing in Malawi? As we say, we could be talking about something right now, but as we're speaking, something's changing. But in our context, how quickly are we advancing?
That's a very interesting question. I'll try to respond to it by, first of all, choosing a period. Let me talk about the last 10 years. And then I'll also try to respond to that by putting in some layers, because I think it's important that we should take it at different layers. Let me start at policy level, because it's very important. Policy is what kind of guides how we operate in terms of tech and all that. We've seen a number of policy that has been passed over the past 10 years that has really transformed the tech sector in Malawi. I can give examples in areas of payments, e-payments. I think the Payments Act was amended a couple of years back, and it has opened up more to the mobile money, interoperability of different players. We've seen the coming in of the National Switch Center that is connecting a lot of systems these days, banks, mobile companies, and all that. It's a very positive development that has happened over the last 10 years. When you look now at skills, I think the last 10 years has also given us places like hubs like this. We've seen the opening up of more universities that are more focused on IT. We have MAST now. We also have Zuzu University that is more focused on empowering young people with the right skills to be able to produce and probably come up with solutions around technology. Yeah. That's a very big step forward. And then we've seen platforms, systems that have been developed the last 10 years. He mentioned about the IT, the AIP. We've seen the coming in of the national ID, which is a very critical game changer in the space. If we are to go to accessing healthcare, digital payments, a lot of issues are centering around the national ID coming up in Malawi. It's just up to us now, developers, to leverage what the opportunity is there. And then there's mobile money, all the platforms that I think the last 10 years has given us, Airtel and all that. And we've seen virtual cards, a lot of things that have been happening. Maybe we sometimes we measure our progress based on, I've been in meetings where people still talk about, but the internet penetration in Malawi is still below 20% and all that. We also forget that our mobile penetration is moving very, very quickly. Right now, about maybe around 60% of the people have got access to funds.
Yeah.
So as much as broadband internet is a challenge, but we're also talking about mobile first these days. It's very important that most of our platforms are focusing on mobile. So there's a very good progress that is happening. But as much as we praise that, we should also consider the fact that we can do much better than we are at the moment.
Yeah.
Simply because in Malawi, we've got a lot of opportunities. What we in tech would call use cases that we can use technology. Some of the things that we are battling are a matter of life and death. We're talking about food security. We're talking about education, healthcare, and all that. We can fast track development in these spaces by leveraging technology. So we're going well, but we can do faster than we are doing. Sometimes by adopting the new technologies, maybe blockchain can move us a little much quicker than we are doing with the information systems that we're developing at the moment. So let me stop there, but it's an interesting, I think what it means is that it will be an interesting 5 years because a lot more people are coming in with skills, a lot of policies is coming in place, and then there's also a lot of players that are coming in that will adopt some of this and push things a little quicker than we are now.
So what, for the president now, what are some of the barriers that would actually keep us at bay from adopting? As you're saying, there's a lot happening, but it seems like maybe it may take us a bit to get to where we need to be at.
So I think the biggest challenge that we have, as highlighted by the National Statistics Office, is the our literacy levels as a country. So hampered with the digital literacy levels, it will take us time for more Malawians to quickly adopt and accept that technology is the best equalizer and the game changer in our everyday life. We have seen, even in our organizations, the issue of cultural mindset change is not only just preached about changing and making sure that we're working at a faster speed, but how do you convince people who were born before computers that the best way to achieve a certain problem is to adopt a technology and then obviously replace a few things within an organization. So that is number one. And that speaks to the policymakers, because how do you convince a policymaker who does not understand the effect of technology on how it can change the economies of the country? So we have a bit of a challenge to sort of change the mindset change, bring the mindset change to the policymakers, the decision makers, and even zero in the community level, where we bring a concept of mobile first, as Vincent is putting it. But how do you convince someone in the village to say, look, don't cycle 40 kilometers to go and walk into the branch to ask for your bank balance? You can actually do it on your phone. That is an enormous work that we have to be able to speak about the technology adoption and even just mobile penetration. If we were to move from, as it's highlighted in the Malawi Digital Economy Strategy, that we want by 2026 to have 80% of Malawians have access to the digital broadband internet. How do we do that? In ensuring that Malawians are well educated, issues of digital literacy are taken across the country and everyone understands how they can remain safe on the internet. So these are some of the challenges, I think, in my view, that if we can address issues of digital literacy, awareness, and most importantly, the issue of mindset change at all levels,
You know what? I'm having a bit of a Google within me because when you said the people that were born before computers, it translated to me that old people are a barrier to us
Not all of
moving
them.
forward.
Not all of them.
So it just says old people, but
Not all of them.
not all.
Some,
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I do know that some are very tech savvy and they're moving with the times. Okay, Eugene, how will the emerging technologies have a positive impact towards growth in the economy here in Malawi?
Right. I think in a big way, they could positively impact the economy. If you look at like has been spoken about fintech, right? The wave of fintech that took place in East Africa from 2014 to now with M-Pesa, and also in West Africa with I think now MTN has surpassed M-Pesa in mobile transactions, right? And has a big market capitalization. So I think sectors like that, fintech, are poised to make a big impact. Take advantage of this. You know, we have lots of brilliant stories, we have lots of brilliant content. What can we do to take advantage of this opportunity? The world is looking to us. I think Japan really took to that, and they create lots of content that the West consumes, right? Billions and billions worth of content. I think some of the younger people in this room know of this South Korean series. What is that? You know, it's the one that just came out, the game, where the people are competing for the game. Yeah, that one. Squid Games, yes, Squid Games.
Okay,
and that made Netflix a lot of money, right? So what stories can we tell? How can we use these growing industries to bring about positive economic growth? You know, so yeah, looking at the companies in West Africa, I think just Nigeria alone was able to attract, the startups in Nigeria alone were able to attract $1.8 billion of funding, startup funding in 2021, right? That is a significant amount of money that's being poured into the digital startups, and about 80% of these were all operating in fintech, you know, providing microloan solutions, micro insurance, credit facilities, integrated payment solutions, you know. So how can we take advantage of this to also push the country further, I think is a question that we all have to be thinking about seriously.
I'm going to assume that maybe you've thought of a few things already. Have you?
Yeah, I think that's something that we at the Next Gen Labs are seriously thinking about, emerging technologies. So like artificial intelligence, the Web 3.0, the blockchain. How can we provide solutions that can help push the country forward in that way? So artificial intelligence, machine learning, you know, how can we take those technologies and apply them to health, to education, to fintech, you know, and provide solutions that can actually bring about significant economic value.
Yeah. Awesome. And you're starting them young.
Yes.
That's the right time to do it.
The key is education, right?
Yeah.
The ship might have sailed for most of us, but I think if we can focus on the kids, you know, I think there's a big chance of changing even the digital ecosystem in the country, right? Focusing on the education, and then a lot more good can come out of that.
Yeah, clearly it didn't sail too far off. And Abraham, this one's yours. Is Malawi doing enough in developing locally developed technology solutions that can embrace and can be embraced in other countries and elsewhere?
So I think that question, I think, speaks to different dimensions. It's a question to the, if I was to, you know, just segment it like that. So for policymakers, are we doing enough to promote the creation of local technologies and absorb those? There was a discussion when the issue of forex shortage hit the communities, and so someone commented and said, any entrepreneur that is going to solve this problem is going to hit a jackpot, you know. But how do you because your question is saying, how do we export locally developed technologies to other countries?
Yeah.
That is local, that is, revenue or forex source for us as a country, because if I'm exporting technology, it means we're getting dollars in the country. But I think government need to play an active role in changing some of the legislations and policies to be seen to be promoting the development of the local technologies. For example, the government of Rwanda right now is inviting all the fintechs in Africa to go and establish their organizations, their businesses in Rwanda, you know, and not just saying come to Rwanda and establish your businesses. They are saying come to Rwanda, we'll give you land, we'll give you, if you need access to finance, we'll give you that, as long as you have your head office in Rwanda. And if you need to pilot your technologies, our ministries are, they're open for that. So you could go to Minister of Agriculture in Rwanda and say, I have a technology that is addressing this problem. Do you think we can pilot it with your government? And that will take even days, just for you to get that, not because you've bribed someone also, yeah? So there's a lot of work that government need to do to promote the creation, because we haven't created a demand. The demand is there, yes, but the government is the biggest buyer in any economy. And so if the government were to create the demand and allow the tech industry respond to that and adopt some of the technologies, not by going in the newspapers and saying, oh, there's a tender, but the requirement is for you to have generated $1 million revenue. You need to have all these restrictions, at the end of the day. So if we can waiver some of these issues, then yes, I think we need to get that level where we will promote and encourage the tech space to innovate and bring different solutions.
Do you think? Did you want to add to that?
No, I wanted to look at it differently. As much as we know, I think we normally push government as the biggest buyer now because of where we're looking at tenders and all that. But digital gives us an opportunity to make consumers as more of the biggest buyer. Because imagine if somebody comes up with a solution that can be used by just half of the population, maybe 8 million people, 10 million people, then you're gone. So we want to be creating solutions that can address such issues. There are issues that almost everyone is struggling with, and they're willing to pay, even if it's 1,000, 2,000. I think we'll be able to displace government as the biggest buyer, and we'll be the biggest buyer with that. That's what I wanted to add on that.
Okay, so the issue is we must first accept and welcome and adopt the technologies that we ourselves are creating.
So it goes back to the issue of mindset change, the cultural mindset change. I'll give you an example. How many of us have downloaded the Riders app? I think there's a mobile application where you can call for a taxi. But this is like in the Malawi context. How many of us have downloaded
the Smart Rider?
The Smart Rider. I don't know it's called what. How many of us have
Eco Rides and
Eco Rides?
Yeah.
Just two hands. Okay. Yeah. But so it goes back to the same issue of the mindset change.
Yeah.
Because developers are creating different solutions. Yeah. It's in our mindset that if I want to call a taxi, I just need to call them, like on WhatsApp even, and say, Chief, I'm in city center.
Yeah.
We only do it when we travel, like, okay, I need Uber, and because you don't know anyone else there. So they get different innovations, and they think it will address a particular need. And indeed it does, but I think we still need to get to a level where Malawians are actually trusting these technologies and say, look, I want to call a taxi. Maybe if there was an incentive to say, if you're calling an Uber, then we're tracking your data and their benefits, and maybe it will motivate people to use those kind of.
Wait a minute, Ruth. That's my favorite topic. It's culture.
Yes.
I think when we're developing solutions, we need to understand the cultural context of it. I think when we're developing issues, sometimes it's easy to call what is happening somewhere else and just bring it here without. For instance, I'll give you an example of e-commerce platforms that people are developing. Malawians have got their own way or understanding of what a market looks like or interaction at a market looks like. You bring in a totally different approach to buying or buying something that works in another context and it doesn't reflect a market in Malawi. Everyone has been to a Waka Waka or Area 25. Somehow your e-commerce platform should at least resemble or take some reference at least to how marketing works in that regard. But if you bring a totally new context, the idea is that you should not completely transform people to your user experience, then you copy their user experience to that. So for instance, Uber, how many Malawians in a normal setup would hire a taxi? It's a luxury and all that. So there are means that people use, but how many Malawians move from one place to another? So if you want to make a solution, come up with a solution, takes Malawians from one place to another, rather than enforce a taxi on them, because they don't even know taxis, they don't even care about taxis.
Yeah.
So that's how we should be thinking even in digital, so that whoever harnesses culture will be able to come up with solutions that will scale very easily.
Yeah, that's so good. That tells me that whatever it is that we can make here, because Malawi is not a standalone, our culture will be similar to that of Zambia or Zim, or so it has potential to be picked up by other countries. So yeah, I guess maybe there is a problem when we try and just pick it up as it is from the West and bring it home. And it's like, what's this? We're a bit lost. Okay, that's so good. You've actually answered a lot of what I was going to ask you about in terms of issues that fail us and are in our way in terms of adopting. So I guess the issues of culture, issues of trusting the technology, that comes in on that as well. But this one's for Sarah. And I think we've talked a bit about this, but you could totally still add to it. How has technology affected our society, whether it's positive or a negative way?
Before I come to that, let me just add on what Vincent was saying about culture. So being someone who is in academia, I believe in research. Before you come up with any innovation on any product, you have to think of the people that you are producing that product for. If you don't do a proper research, you can come up with a beautiful innovation, but it's useless. I can give you an example. At the university, we do have beautiful innovations that students are coming up with. But what he has said that they might be beautiful innovations, but if you take them onto the market, there's something that people cannot take up. So it's really important that we do a research. Let's not just copy and paste. I think we can do some edit before we paste it in Malawi, and then we can help, I think, in the adoption of the different technologies that we really want to implement in our communities. So coming to that question, the effects of technology on our society, we have talked much about the positive part of it, but I would say that technology can neither be good, right? Yeah, it just depends, like in his hands, is it, if you want to use technology in a very bad way, you can. Don't blame technology that has brought some negative effects. But then I'll focus on the negative part of it. I would say that technology has brought in depression and mental health issues nowadays. Social media has brought us into this mess. People are trying to compare their lives with someone else. They don't even know because their life looks so good, and then they want to copy that life. They want to be like that someone else, and they get into depression. So this comparison has put a lot of youths into mental health issues and depression. If we are to compare your life, maybe let's say you're a graduate, but you don't have any employment, and you see your friends are posting different beautiful things. They're in islands, they're in UK, they're studying the masters, and they're doing the PhD. You try to compare lives, and then you end up into depression that my life is somewhere and you're not happy at all. The end result is suicide, that you're not happy at all. And the other thing is that we have the issue of cyberbullying. Nowadays, people are just posting things without intention to hurt someone. Technology, we're using it in a bad way. Instead of informing other people, instead of helping to share information, we're just posting things anyhow. And this is really affecting our society. Some other people are scared to be on social media platforms because of that. They don't want to create any account on Facebook or whatever, because they know if they do that, you can just post whatever. You tag them, you write whatever you want. That is really crazy. And the other thing is also that I think technology has brought in some loss of trust. If you're meeting, we have had issues in the past days, weeks, where people are having meetings and then they come with their phones already set, they want to record whatever you're going to discuss. You make a phone call, they record whatever you're discussing. You don't even know, without even consent, they're doing that. So technology has really brought that loss of trust between people. We cannot easily trust one another, unless if you're having a meeting, you say, switch off your phones, leave them in your cars, and then we have this meeting. At least I should feel that I'm safe. So as much as it has those positive effects, I think we need to think about these negative effects and think of how we can deal with such kind of things, how we can deal with the depression that has come in due to technology. We think of the cyberbullying, maybe we need to raise awareness on that. Like, it's very common amongst young people. So we need to raise awareness that technology is not there to share such kind of information or to hurt someone online, but it's there that we help one another gain knowledge, share information, and the other things. Yep.
Yeah, so true. In as much as the world has become a bit smaller thanks to technology, a whole lot is going on as well. It's technology has become a perpetrator. People can come out and even say that they're hurting because that's the space you will hurt some more, because there's a lot of people there that have no care for how people feel. So it's crazy. You work with a lot of young people. Is this something that you also address aside from just getting them to know the technology and the robotics and everything? Do you jump into that?
Yes, so definitely something that we look at. I think even very early on, we want to teach responsible ways of using the internet, responsible ways of developing technology. Something that, I mean, kids sometimes these days with the things they're watching, they would like to make something that's violent, you know, or speaks to themes that might not be acceptable. So even at that stage, when say for example we're teaching game design, we try and bring that message home that we want to create responsible games, responsible apps. You know, we want to use these skills that we've learned here for responsible use cases. You know, yeah. So that's something that definitely we realize that is very important. Elsewhere, these things like artificial intelligence and machine learning are being weaponized, you know, to further create racial tensions and all these things, you know. I think Twitter, they created a bot, they trained it to learn how people are interacting on Twitter, I think over a year. And then they said, okay, now let's launch it and see how it will tweet. But even in the first day, it had to be shut down because it had learned all these negative, you know, and it was just, you know, abusing people and all these things, you know. So if the technology is there, but we need to responsibly use it, you know. AI on its own won't do anything for us. Machine learning on its own won't do anything for us, but we need to, you know, at the end of the day, it's still a computer, you know, and we need to be responsible with the platforms and use them for good, more good than bad.
That tells me that there's a lot of abuse happening online. If by the day one, it was already on people's throats, and that says a lot to the kinds of people that have access as well. And as you've said, sensitizing the young ones, especially because they're the ones whose brains are going fastest, creating the new stuff, to say you want to use it for good. For Sarah, I'm back at you now. What is the best technology for peers to learn for the future?
Wow. Thinking of the best, I really don't know. Because what Eugene has talked about, the artificial intelligence, the drone technologies, the blockchain, now we're more into cybersecurity because of these fraud issues and everything. We have to know how to be safe on terms of online transactions. But for now, I would say that let's get into the artificial intelligence way, where we're having different components, the machine learning, where we're teaching machines how to do things on our behalf, because I believe that in the next 10 or 15 years, what a human being is doing now might be done by machine. So be very careful. You might lose your jobs, I think, in the next 10 years. So just get advanced in your field. Just get to know how you're going to survive with the introduction of different technologies. So I believe that artificial intelligence, as of now, is the best way to go. Let's learn how we can interact with machines and get to know how we can instruct them to do different things. Yep.
Awesome. We're coming to the end of our chat. So I want to get last words from everyone. I'll start with you, Vincent.
For me, I think there's an opportunity for Malawi to leverage technology to kind of facilitate the socio-economic development of the country. I think there are a lot of countries in the world that have probably proved that leveraging technology can come up with very positive results in terms of technology. Sometimes people these young people to come up with solutions that solve the issues that they're facing at the end of the day, and create an environment. I know there are a lot of young people who are sitting on possible solutions. Maybe they're stuck at integrating with payment systems. I know a lot of people who have developed a lot of technologies, but they're failing maybe to connect to payment systems, to understand or solve specific problems that companies are facing, because companies are not opening up to young people. They would rather recruit you than work with you as a PA who has got a solution. Oh, we want to invite you and work for us as an IT administrator. But I've got my own company that I'm running. I can come up with solutions, products that can save your company and all that. So we need to be having those conversations at the end of the day. Lastly, it's easier to push for policy, but I'm thinking that everyone else would blame policy, all that. But we've got enough environment, we've put enough frameworks right now that we can be able to adopt some of the things and come up with solutions, even within the right framework that we are in at the moment. I'll give you an example. Sometimes policy will be pushed based on the demand that you've pushed in it. There was no policy around mobile money in Malawi when Airtel Money was starting some years back. It was pushed, policy was pushed to come and address issues around Airtel Money. So there could be some policies that we need. They can be pushed by solutions that we are providing now. We just need to be very active in the space and do that. The future looks bright. It's possible. I believe that Malawi, using technology, we can replace tobacco. We can replace all these foreign earners, forex earners, and have technology as a main forex earner. And our solutions can work in any country in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Bram.
So thank you. When you talk to Dr. Malunga, who is the CEO at the tobacco, he says people will still be smoking, so we're not replacing tobacco.
Electronic cigarettes.
Well,
but yes, I think we live at a time where, in the world, 5 years or 2 years ago, this panel discussion was very important for us to, stand like open and plead to the people watching to say why technology is important. But I think COVID flipped the whole conversation altogether. We have seen and witnessed weddings on Zoom, something that's never been done, but people didn't have the choice. We have seen board meetings happening totally online, government meetings totally online. For the first time in our country, the parliament gathered virtually. Whether it was a success or not, that's another conversation. But at least we tried. Technology and the pandemic pushed us in that direction. So there's never been a better time for a technology enthusiast, tech developers, for us to come up with solutions that will be pushed on the market. The internet penetration, yes, but the affordability is now, I don't know, are we still complaining about data bundles? We live at a time where accessing the bundles are no longer an issue, and that is an opportunity for us as a country, as tech, the people that are in the tech space, to even collaborate with people that are outside the country and create solutions that can be pushed on the market. So it's a better time to be in Malawi. It's a better time to be a tech enthusiast.
Awesome, thank you. Eugene.
Yeah, I think I'll just jump on what Vincent said and a little bit of what Bram said around COVID. I think with the biggest thing is that there's so many opportunities here because there is so many problems, right? And like he previously said, I think the problem is the culture. We design things based off what's working elsewhere, Let's look at the context here, what people are doing. Maybe we design solutions around village banks, We still don't have an app for village banks. If there is, but I don't know, is it being used, right? But almost maybe everyone in this room is in a village bank of sorts, So let's look at the context and our problems and design things around that. I also feel like something that's very important is a culture of innovation and a culture of entrepreneurship, a culture of solving problems. It's not really there. More graduates would like to get a job or an internship than to come to the market with their ideas. I think there's no shortage of ideas, but there is a shortage of people pushing these young innovators to say, you know what, show us your solutions, not show us your CV, but show us your solutions, or, you know, so everyone's trying to get a job, but not everybody is trying to bring their innovation to the market, right? And if that changed, I think we would see an explosion of ideas, an explosion of solutions to our problems. But that comes now from the other side saying, we want to see your ideas. And so, yeah, I think the opportunities are immense and a lot of them, but we need to shift our thinking and our approach to doing things. I think that's going to be crucial for the next 5 to 10 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sarah, what are your last thoughts?
I would say that there is really future in terms of technology. If we are to apply technology in a very good way, I see Malawi advancing economically. My plea to all Malawians, let's trust the applications that Malawians are developing. Let's trust them, because if we don't trust them, I don't think we ever get anywhere. So it's a matter of trusting what our friends are coming up with. Let's appreciate the innovations that our fellow Malawians are coming up with. Let's not just sit on them, but let's collaborate, and then we make them known to everyone and we use those applications. That's my message to all Malawians. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you very much, Eugene. And of course, Fram and Vincent. A round of applause for our panelists. Thank you indeed. And of course, thank you to everyone that's joining us online and to everyone that came through here today. We definitely need to buy into local technology. That is the push that it will need for it to be able to get to cross the borders pretty much. Buy-in from the government, from us, the people, that it's being created for. And as Eugene said, there's so many problems, which means so much innovation. And on the other hand, after that innovation, a whole lot of money to be made as well, which is so important. So I think let's definitely continue to press forward. And I'm definitely looking forward to our next festival that we will be having here, the Tech Fest Malawi. Hopefully that will be coming around soon, and I'm sure that we'll have an greater turnout for the next one. But this first year's inaugural turnout was awesome. So let me thank everyone that decided to come around. We're so glad for the fact that you came and you spent your time learning something new and walking away with some information as well. So as we end our night today, once again, my name is Ruth Kulaisi. Thank you so much for joining us, and to everyone here as well. Thank you so much for coming around. We do have snacks, and you know, initially I said let's exchange cards. I don't know how you take people exchange things. I don't know if you're like scanning each other's phones. Yeah, so exchange Twitter handles and emails and the rest, so we can continue. I know that you would like to maybe even continue the conversation that we had here as we sip on some. So please feel free to do that. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming around. And thank you, everyone at home. Until next time, have yourself a good night.